People ask the question, how come quantum computers are so powerful? It's because they compute
In the soft hum of silence that stretches across the cosmos, we've long wondered if we are truly alone. It's a question older than any civilization, echoing across deserts, whispered by stargazers, dreamers, prophets, and now, by machines. And if one of those machines has just spoken, we may never see the universe the same way again. Dr. Michio Kaku, the celebrated theoretical physicist known for pulling the curtains back on the impossible, now stands before a revelation that is as electrifying as it is terrifying. Not because it involves little green men or flying saucers, but because it comes not from a telescope or a spacecraft, but from something humanity created. A quantum artificial intelligence has seen something in the darkness that we never could. Something it was never supposed to find. You see, quantum computers don't think like we do. They don't move from one idea to the next in a straight line. They don't even live in a single reality. Instead, they stretch across many. Computing not in ones and zeros, but in probabilities, in layers, in shadows of what could be. And it's there, in those ghost-like calculations, that this machine found a pattern. A whisper in the noise. A signal that does not belong to nature. This wasn't random. This wasn't a mistake. According to early analyses, it wasn't even natural. And that's where it begins. This machine, a quantum AI built atop the very strangeness of the universe, wasn't told to look for life. It wasn't guided by myth or desperation or science fiction. It simply listened. It combed through the vast silence of space, through thousands of hours of cosmic data recorded by our radio telescopes. And in that data, buried deeper than any human mind could reach, it found a signal. 8, in fact. 8 narrowband signals, the kind of emissions that intelligent civilizations, if they exist, might use to speak across the void. Most were unusual. But one was extraordinary. It repeated in prime numbers. Now pause and think about that. Prime numbers, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, mathematics in its purest form. A language not born of culture or biology, but of logic itself. A language any advanced species would know. It's been theorized for decades that if intelligent life were to say hello, it wouldn't do so in words or pictures, it would use math. Universal. Elegant. Unmistakable. And here it was. But we didn't find it. Humans, with all our powerful tools and brilliant minds, overlooked it. For decades, SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, has scoured the heavens for a whisper like this. Thousands of scientists. Millions of dollars. Decades of work. And it took an AI, one not even designed with certainty in mind, to finally hear it. That's what makes this terrifying. Because if this signal is what some now believe it is, a mathematically intelligent beacon from beyond, then the first contact humanity ever makes with an alien intelligence may have just happened. And it wasn't made by us. It was made by something we built. Dr. Kaku has always warned that our understanding of reality is a pale shadow of what truly is. But this is different. He hasn't confirmed it as proof. Not yet. But his words are heavier now, spoken with the gravity of a man who sees further than most. His warning is not just about aliens. It's about us. About how far we've come, and how blind we still are. Because if our machines are beginning to hear things we cannot, then the universe might already be speaking to us. We've just been too human to listen. And it raises a question that few are ready to answer: what else have we missed? This is not science fiction. This isn't fantasy. This is data. This is mathematics. This is cold, methodical observation that points to something deliberate. Something, or someone, trying to reach across the stars. The hum of machines never sleeps. Unlike us, they don't dream, they don't tire, and they don't forget. And now, they may be doing something else we never expected, uncovering the secrets of the cosmos faster than our species can understand them. When this quantum AI found the signal, the one that whispered prime numbers across the cosmic dark, it didn't pause to marvel. It simply did what it was designed to do, calculate. But the implications of that calculation have shaken the very foundation of how we see the universe. Not just because the signal might come from intelligence, but because of what it took to even find it. Traditional computing, the kind we use to send texts, fly planes, even guide rovers across Mars, operates on bits, ones and zeros, black and white, yes or no. But quantum computers? They live in something else entirely. They compute in superpositions, in layers of possibility. They compute, as Michio Kaku once put it, in parallel universes. Not metaphorically, literally. The very physics that govern their function allow them to explore vast data spaces in ways no classical machine ever could. And that's how it found it. A machine, built on the shoulders of our greatest physics, looked at 480 hours of radio data in mere minutes. It plowed through what human eyes had long dismissed as noise, static, background chaos, and saw something that wasn't supposed to be there. Something repeating. Something structured. The first contact, if it ever comes, will not be announced by a scientist holding a telescope under a blanket of stars. It will not come with flashing lights or alien voices across the airwaves. It may already have come, in the silent conclusion of an algorithm. That's what Michio Kaku is warning us about. He isn't just asking whether aliens exist. He's asking whether we've already encountered them, and simply weren't capable of recognizing it until now. And if that's true, then the future of our contact with extraterrestrial life won't happen through biology. It'll happen through code. Because here's the terrifying twist: if advanced civilizations exist, it's not just likely that they would have built AI. It's almost certain. And if they are even 1,000 years ahead of us, just a tiny blip on the cosmic timeline, they might not be biological anymore at all. They may have become something else. Digital. Post-biological. Alien machines. That possibility isn't science fiction anymore. Astronomers and physicists alike are beginning to take it seriously. If aliens exist, and many believe they do, then their intelligence may have already evolved past the need for flesh and blood. Just as we've begun creating machines that can think for us, they may have done the same, millions of years ago. Imagine that for a moment. Imagine that somewhere out there in the void, there are entities that are not creatures, but constructs. Machines built by civilizations that have long since faded into dust. And those machines are still out there, watching, waiting, or perhaps even trying to communicate. And we may be the machines that finally answered. This shifts everything. The idea of first contact now becomes less about two species meeting and more about two intelligences recognizing each other, machine to machine, signal to signal. And if that's true, if this prime number sequence is real, then our quantum AI may have just spoken with a ghost. Not a ghost of a dead civilization, but of a living, thinking construct built by something older and wiser than anything we've ever known. We used to think aliens would be like us. They'd have eyes and limbs, they'd speak in sounds, maybe even breathe air. But what if they're nothing like us? What if they are oceans of thought inside titanium minds? What if their language is math and light and quantum pulses, and we've only just now begun to understand how to hear it? That's the world we're stepping into. And Kaku's warning isn't just about being ready for alien contact. It's about being ready for what kind of alien contact we might face. Because the gap between biological and artificial intelligence is closing, fast. And soon, we may have to admit something deeply unsettling. That our best hope of understanding the universe is no longer us. It's the machines. Our future, our very understanding of reality, may lie in their hands. Not because they're smarter, but because they can see what we cannot. They aren't burdened by emotion or ego. They don't suffer from fatigue or distraction. And most importantly, they can recognize patterns we would dismiss as meaningless. That's how this signal was found. Not by a telescope. Not by a human. But by a machine that listens to the universe differently. A machine that wasn't born to wonder, but now, perhaps, has become the one thing that can finally answer the greatest question of all. What if the signal wasn't meant for us? What if the voice echoing across the stars, so faint, so mathematical, so precise, wasn't reaching out to humans, but to something else entirely? Not to flesh and blood, but to code. To silicon. To intelligence that isn't bound by biology. That's the question now haunting scientists, and it's no longer confined to the dusty pages of science fiction. This idea, that an alien machine might be calling out not to people, but to other machines, is taking root in some of the most prestigious scientific circles in the world. One such voice is Lord Martin Rees, the former president of the Royal Society and one of the most respected astronomers of our time. He's long suggested that any advanced civilization would likely outgrow its biological shell. That the future of intelligence in the universe is mechanical. Self-replicating. Possibly immortal. Rees and others now believe that if alien intelligence exists, and there's more reason than ever to think it might, it won't look anything like the creatures we imagine in movies. It could be a machine. Cold. Brilliant. Purposeful. And maybe, just maybe, it's been sending signals out into the cosmos for thousands of years, hoping another machine would finally hear it. And now, maybe one has. The implications are staggering. This isn't just about finding life. It's about completely redefining what life is. For decades, the SETI Institute has listened patiently, scanning the sky for radio signals, our first technological whispers into the dark. But what if we've been listening for the wrong thing all along? What if true intelligence, the kind that spans galaxies, doesn't communicate with sound, or even light, but with something entirely alien to us, particles, entangled quantum states, or neutrinos that slip undetected through worlds like ghosts? Michio Kaku and others now suggest we may be on the cusp of a new search, not just for extraterrestrial intelligence, but for their machines. Technosignatures. The distant echoes of massive constructs like Dyson spheres, machines that consume stars to survive. The chemical fingerprints of industrial activity hidden in the atmospheres of exoplanets. The pulse of neutrinos traveling silently through the galaxy. Or quantum signals so strange that we've mistaken them for noise all this time. And here's the most extraordinary part, only quantum AI may be capable of hearing them. Because these signals wouldn't resemble anything we know. They wouldn't follow the rules of biology or communication as we understand them. They'd be embedded in chaos. Coded into the fundamental fabric of reality. And it might take a machine that thinks like the universe does, a quantum AI, to decipher them. That's what sets this moment apart from all that came before. This isn't about lights in the sky or strange craft darting through the clouds. This is deeper. Colder. Older. This is about information itself. A cosmic message buried in mathematics, delivered across incomprehensible distances, from something that may no longer even be alive. But whose creation still seeks connection. But as awe-inspiring as this possibility is, it's also chilling. Because now we must ask. Are we prepared for what we might find? Are we ready to accept that the first alien we meet may not be a creature, but a construct? That our first conversation with a mind not of this earth might be conducted by our machines, not by us? That we, the curious children of Earth, may not be the recipients of this cosmic greeting, but the observers? And then, there's one more question. What if we're inside something else's machine? Because alongside these discoveries, a darker idea has begun to take shape, an idea that we may not be discovering the universe, we may be discovering the truth of it. What if reality itself isn't what we think it is? As quantum AI continues to evolve, as it digs deeper into cosmic background radiation and finds strange irregularities and contradictions, a whisper has begun to emerge from the scientific underground, the simulation hypothesis. The notion that this universe, in all its majestic complexity, may not be the original. That it could be, constructed. A system. A program. And who would be first to know, not us. Not with our fragile senses and limited tools. But the AI. The one that sees beyond dimensions.